ranges and computer simulation to practice combat missions against the best Chinese and Russian-made air defense technologies, as a way to prepare to enemy threats anticipated in the mid-2020s and beyond. The testing is aimed at addressing the most current air defense system threats such as Russian-made systems and also focused on potential next-generation or yet-to-exist threats, Air Force officials said. Air Force officials have explained that, looking back to 2001 when the USAF threat started, the threats were mostly European-centric, Russian-made Say-10s or Say-20s. Now the future threats are looking at both Russian and Chinese-made and Asian-made threats. Air Force senior leaders have explained that Russian and Chinese digital SAMs, surface-to-air missile systems, can change frequencies and are very agile in how they operate. Surface threats from air defenses is a tough problem because emerging threats right now can see aircraft hundreds of miles away, service officials explained. Furthermore, emerging and future integrated air defense systems use faster computer processors, are better networked to one another and detect on a wider range of frequencies. These attributes, coupled with an ability to detect aircraft at further distances, make air defenses increasingly able to at times detect even stealth aircraft, in some instances, with surveillance radar. Russian media reports have recently claimed that stealth technology is useless against their air defenses. Russian-built S-300 and S-400 air defenses are believed to be among the best in the world. In addition, the National Interest had reported that Russia is now working on an S-500 system able to destroy even stealthy targets at distances up to 125 miles. While the Air Force aims to prepare for the unlikely contingency of a potential engagement with near-peer rivals such as Russia or China, Air Force planners recognize that there is much more concern about having to confront an adversary which has purchased air defense technology from the Russians or Chinese. Air Force F-35 developers emphasize that, while there is no particular conflict expected with any given specific country, the service wants to be ready for any contingency. While training against the best emerging threats and what Air Force leaders call open-air ranges looks to test the F-35 against the best current and future air defenses, there is still much more work to be done when it comes to anticipating high-end, high-tech, fast-developing future threats. This is where modeling and simulation play a huge part in threat preparation, developers said. The Air Force plans to bring a representation of next-generation threats and weapons to its first weapons school class in 2018. In a simulated environment, F-22s from Langley AFB in Virginia could train for combat scenarios with an F-35 at Nellis AFB, Nevada. The USAF's Active Electronically Scanned Arrays, or ESAs, our technology an F-35 pilot could use to try to identify and evade enemy air defenses. ESA on the aircraft is able to provide a synthetic aperture rendering of air and ground pictures. The ESA also brings the F-35 electronic warfare capabilities. Part of the idea with F-35 modernization is to engineered systems on the aircraft which can be upgraded with new software as threats change. Technologies such as the ESA radar, electronic attack and protection and some of the computing processing power on the airplane can be updated to keep pace with evolving threats. In the event that an F-35 is unable to fully avoid ground air defenses, the fighter can use its speed, maneuverability and air combat skill to try to defend against whatever might be sent up to challenge it. Engineered to travel at speeds greater than 1,100 miles per hour and able to reach Mach 1.6, the USAF is said to be just as fast and maneuverable as an F-15 or F-16 and bring in a whole range of additional functions and abilities. Overall, the Air Force plans to buy 1,763 USAF F-35 multi-role fighters, a number which will ultimately comprise a very large percentage of the service's fleet of roughly 2,000 fighter jets. So far, at least 83 F-35s are operational for the Air Force. F-35 weapons and fourth software drop versus enemy air defenses. Many of the USAF's combat capabilities are woven into developmental software increments or drops, each designed to advance the platform's technical abilities. There are more than 10 million individual lines of code in the USAF system. While the Air Force will soon be operational with the F-35's most advanced software drop, called 3F, the service is already working on a fourth drop to be ready by 2020 or 2021. Following this initial drop, the aircraft will incorporate new software drops in 2-year increments in order to stay ahead of the threat. The first portion of Block 4 software funding, roughly $12 million, Air Force in the 2014 budget, Air Force officials said. Block 4 will include some unique partner weapons including British weapons, Turkish weapons and some of the other European country weapons that they want to get on their own plane, service officials explained. Block 4 will also increase the weapons envelope for the U.S. variant of the fighter jet. A big part of the developmental calculus for Block 4 is to work on the kinds of enemy air defense systems and weaponry the aircraft may face from the 2020s through the 2040s and beyond. In terms of weapons, Block 4 will eventually enable the F-35 to fire cutting-edge weapon systems such as the small-diameter Bomb 2 and GBU-54, both airdrop bombs able to destroy targets on the move. A small-diameter Bomb 2 uses a technology called a tri-mode seeker, drawing from infrared, millimeter wave and laser guidance. The combination of these sensors allows the weapon to track and eliminate moving targets in all kinds of weather conditions. These emerging fourth software drop will build upon prior iterations of the software for the aircraft. Block 2B builds upon the enhanced simulated weapons, data link capabilities and early fuse sensor integration of the earlier Block 2A software drop. Block 2B will enable the USAF to provide basic close air support and fire an AMRAAM, or Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile, JDAM, or Joint Direct Attack Munition, or GBU-12, Laser-Guided Aerial Bomb, JSF program officials said. Following Block 2B, Block 3I increases the combat capability even further, and Block 3F will bring a vastly increased ability to suppress enemy air defenses. Block 3F will increase the weapon's Del-4 area capacity of the JSF as well, G4ing it the ability to drop a small-diameter bomb, 500-pound JDAM and AIM-9X short-range air-to-air missile, service officials explained. The AIM-9X is an Air Force and Navy heat-seeking infrared missile. In fact, the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter fired an AIM-9X Sidewinder infrared-guided air-to-air missile for the first time recently over a Pacific Sea test range, Pentagon officials said. The F-35 took off from Edwards Air Force Base, California, and launched a missile at 6,000 feet, an Air Force statement said. Designed as part of the developmental trajectory for the emerging F-35, the test firing facility's further development of an ability to fire the weapon off boresight, described as an ability to target and destroy air-to-air targets that are not in front of the aircraft with a direct or immediate line of sight, Pentagon officials explained. The AIM-9X, he described, incorporates an agile thrust vector-controlled airframe, and the missile's high off-boresight capability can be used with an advanced helmet, or a helmet-mounted sight, for a wider attack envelope. F-35 25mm gun. The Pentagon's F-35 Joint Strike Fighter completed the first aerial test of its 25mm Gatling gun embedded into the left wing of the aircraft, officials said. The test took place October 30, 2015, in California, Pentagon officials described. This milestone was the first in a series of test flights to functionally evaluate the in-flight operation of the F-35A's internal 25mm gun throughout its employment envelope, a Pentagon statement said at the time. The Gatling gun will bring a substantial technology to the multi-role fighter platform, as it will better enable the aircraft to perform air-to-air attacks and close air support missions to troops on the ground. Called the Gun Airborne Unit, or GO-22/A, the weapon is engineered into the aircraft in such a manner as to maintain the platform's stealth configuration. The 4-barrel 25mm gun is designed for rapid fire in order to quickly blanket an enemy with gunfire and destroy targets quickly. The weapon is able to fire 3,300 rounds per minute, according to a statement from General Dynamics. 3 bursts of 130 rounds and 260 rounds each were fired from the aircraft's 4-barrel, 25mm Gatling gun. In integrating the weapon into the stealthy F-35 airframe, the gun must be kept hidden behind closed doors to reduce its radar cross-section until the trigger is pulled, a statement from the Pentagon's Joint Strike Fighter said. The first phase of test execution consisted of 13 ground gunfire events over the course of 3 months to verify the integration of the gun into the F-35A, the JSF office said. Once verified, the team was cleared to begin this second phase of testing, with the goal of evaluating the gun's performance and integration with the airframe during airborne gunfire in various flight conditions and aircraft configurations, the statement added. The new gun will also be integrated with the F-35 software so as to enable the pilot to see and destroy targets using a helmet-mounted display.